Hello again. Here to talk to you about suffering for God. Um, so the question this time is, what's the point of it? And I'm gonna be real honest and tell you that I've been trying to understand this thing my whole life. You know, like when I was little and God came to me and was like, "Will I suffer for God?" And I was like, "What? Why would God want anyone to suffer for Him?" And then he says, if I promise to suffer for him, then he promises I'll overcome. So it's kind of a tricky thing to understand, because what do you suffer when you suffer for God? Well, you suffer injustice largely because truthfully they can't actually hurt you. Though I have been hurt before. Um, but they can't take your life. They can do a lot of things to you, but only through your permission, or through trespassing and skating, through provoking others to do their dirty work for them. They can hurt you in all kinds of ways, and they can persecute you. They can throw all kinds of false accusations at you, and life can be a real nightmare when they get going. When you see the scope of their army, it can be a little intimidating, and you can feel like hope is lost sometimes. You can feel like this is never going to end, because they make you this promise, right? That your suffering will end if you'll join them. Your suffering will end if you'll allow them to tell more lies about you. And I, I've been reading like Isaiah and Zechariah and Micah lately, like a lot. And there's this one verse that gets me to my core, because in there it talks about how the enemy will tell you that they'll give you your own vine and fig tree to rest under. Just make peace with them and join them, right? And yeah, I'm paraphrasing here. But it's like, when you look back on things, you understand that the devil has no new moves. When he's beat, he'll tell you, join me, and I'll make this your kingdom. I'll make you look good. Just let us tell these lies right here, and then we'll spin it for a story of a redemption and whatnot. And it's kind of crazy. It's like, I know this isn't what God wants of me. Because what I didn't realize when I was a little kid was that when God came to me and asked me this, um, after he asked me this, he told me to cut myself. And so I grabbed a razor off my dresser. It was my older sister's. I was only a little kid, like 7 or 8 years old. And so I grabbed my sister's razor for shaving her legs, and I asked God, I said, where do I cut myself? And he says, on your thumb, right? So what I entered into back then was actually a covenant with God, sealed in my own blood, right? Now, if you read the Bible, if you learn any kind of history from like biblical times, and even after biblical times, during like the times of Rabbi Akiva, you'll find that during their battles they cut the thumbs off of people. And I learned about this after I learned like that I had actually entered into a covenant. God, he does stuff. He asks you stuff. He tells you stuff, and it's for you to search out. So me being a little kid with no understanding, it was just, for the love of God that I said yes. Um, and me growing up, I have to learn about these things and what it means. And as I read my Bible, I feel connected to the ancestors of the Jewish people in so many ways. Like Esther, before she delivered the people, right, from Haman, before, if you listen to the Jewish rabbis, they'll tell you that Esther's stomach melted, and it was a sign that God was going to deliver her. And in one place, they say that her stomach melted means she had to go to the bathroom. Another place, it says she has gas. In another place, it says that she got her period, right? Well, here's the funny thing. Every time that God is bringing deliverance to me, my stomach melts, and it may be gas. It maybe I get my period, or maybe I have to go to the bathroom, you know? So when I heard the rabbis teach of this, I was like, wow, we have something in common, There's been a lot of things that I've listened to them say that makes me wonder, am I a Jew? But then there's like other things that they say that leaves me concerned, like the fact that Rabbi Akiva was known for cutting off people's thumbs in war. And for me, the covenant is sealed in the thumb. For them, the covenant is sealed through circumcision of the male. But for me, it's different. And so it concerns me, because I look at that, and I wasn't around, when Rabbi Akiva was around. I don't know what the aim of his cutting off the thumb was, but it concerns me, because I'm like, were they eliminating the competition? Did God cut a covenant with people before, and they learned the secret that the covenant is cut in the thumbs, and did they then remove the thumb to, close off the covenant, And it concerned me greatly, confused me a lot, because I'm like, how can I relate to these people so much in one fashion, but in another fashion, it's like he cut off people's thumbs, and that's where God cuts covenant with you, So it was a little confusing and a little conflicting, and I learn about myself through them. I relate to them so much. I understand things through them. Like I always used to say that God steers you through pain, right? That he'll afflict you. The affliction is protection. It's to help you to separate from people. Like, I used to be really sick, like so sick I couldn't walk sick. Like my legs were so tight and my muscles were so weak. And it was so hard for me to get around. I was like short of breath, and it was hard to hear God. It was hard to know what he wanted me to do. I felt like I was dying. It was so bad. And I went through this whole smear campaign thing, right? And I lost my family and my friends. And for a long time, it hurt me, and then, like, hurt my heart, because I love my family, They're, they're butt heads, but they're my butt heads, Um, my, they make me laugh. They're silly. My children love them, It was hard to that they were a part of the whole campaign against me. It was real hard for me to accept, and I love my brothers dearly, and I miss them so much. But I know I can never go back, because is not what I did. It was, some things can't be settled because everything was done in the dark, and no one wants to own up to things. They think if it's hidden, no one will know. They think if they do it in the dark, no one knows. But the thing is, they point fingers at each other, and they kind of let you know that, hey, your brothers did this to you. And so it's real hard. And it wasn't just them pointing fingers that let me know. I knew, like, they were up to something, It's hard, But when I separated from them, the pain in my body kind of went away. And I stay pain-free a lot of time, but sometimes when I connect with somebody, I'll start to feel this pain again, and then I'll distance myself from them, and the pain will resolve, So where I say the affliction is protection, the Jewish people say that, your body is like a prophet. That's how God speaks to you. when you can't hear him 100%. That's how he speaks to you. You know, sometimes God speaks and you don't understand what he's saying because you don't have the paradigm for it. You don't have the context for understanding. So you don't know what he's meaning, you know. But that's the way it is. So, um, sorry, my voice is getting hoarse here. Um, so back to what's the point of all this, right? And I already said I'm cautious about previous teachings, right? I'm cautious about what the Bible says and how it's interpreted in some ways, because in a lot of ways, a lot of these things were already fulfilled a long time ago through the Hashmonean dynasties, through the Maccabees. Just, it's kind of like they were, it, to me, it kind of seems like, well, you delivered the people, now let us have control back. You know, the leaders of the Jewish people during that time who weren't in the dynasty. It was like they wanted control back. Like, deliverance was established, give us back to the power. That's it, and it seemed like a power struggle to me. And I'm concerned because you know how in the Bible it says one can put a thousand to fight, but five can put the whole world to flight, you know, put them all to flight. And Mattathias Maccabees, he had 5 sons, you know, Judas, Simon, I can't name them now, what's wrong with me? Jonathan, I can't, it slips my mind right now. I don't read it every day, and for some reason when I learn things, I forget them quickly. I can't retain my memory all the time. That's another thing that the Jewish people say, that sometimes, you know, you forget everything every day and have to learn it anew. And sometimes it's like I have bits and pieces of what I know. I mean, I have the core stuff of what I know, but everything else is gone, right? Like the details of it. But there were these 5 brothers, and they took down, with a small army, they took down an entire empire, right? But fast forward a couple generations, and you got this power struggle that put them out of power. You got a smear campaign going on. If you try to read about Mattathias, there are several different stories of him. They give him a different name, and I can relate to Mattathias because what happened to him happened to me. They tried to give me different aliases. They tried to mix up my identity with other people to make me look like I was someone I wasn't. I learned that this is just a tactic that the enemy uses, you know. But I'm concerned about, like, trusting in sources, because these guys, per God, this is from God Himself, you know, these guys were the Messianic line. These guys were the ones who were charged with the deliverance of Israel. And when they were taken down, the covenant departed, right? They were put into exile. You understand what I mean? But if you read through some of these things, like, every man will rest under his vine and his fig tree, well, they say when Simon ruled that there was peace throughout the world. There weren't any more wars. The kings had all emptied their coffers, and the old men talked about good things, and everybody worked their own plot of land, you know. That's a messianic prophecy that the Jews will convey to you, that there'll be peace, that people will talk about good things. This happened through Simon, you know, but they don't really, like, acknowledge that Simon was even one of the messiahs, you know, that he was in this, one of the 5, you know. So it's like, if it's already been fulfilled, can we trust that, looking at it, that it will be fulfilled again? You know, can we trust that these things will come about again? You know, in Isaiah, it says that after you suffer, that God will make you a covenant for the people, and it makes you wonder when I say, like, what is the point of it all? It makes me wonder, will one day God make me a covenant for the people? Or was this all fulfilled back through the Hashmonean dynasty, through the Maccabees? So when I look for guidance to the Bible, I'm not 100% swayed, because I'm not sure if these things happened before, because these were the 5, I don't know if I'm supposed to do it, because I haven't reached that point yet. And though I'm I'm at this point in everything where I'm relating to them, to the Jewish people, so much, and so I'm looking to them for some kind of guidance, because I really don't care what anyone has done, I really don't hold anything against anyone, I really just don't want to be a part of somebody's war where I'm like a pawn, where somebody would exploit me to get others to be under their thumbs. I don't, and I'm not saying that I fear that of the Jewish people. I fear that of the people in the world, that they just want to figure out how to use your power, how to exploit you so that they can gain more power. And I don't want that to happen. So those who persecuted me, it's not that I'm unforgiven. It's just I know how they are. I know their ways. And I don't want to be a part of that, right? And it's not so much that I'm holding a grudge. It is that I don't want to be exploited. And I don't want to fall into that trap where the ones who oppress you are saying, come on, we'll give you a vine and a fig tree to rest under. I don't want to be a part of that. And as I look at the Jewish people, I wonder how they would be with me. I don't know, because I don't know them well enough. I don't know, because I don't know what God has planned. Is God doing a new thing? I know, like, everything I'm saying is confusing, right? It's confusing for you. It's really confusing for me, because I have a lot of things that run through my head. But these are things that you read in the Bible. For me, the things that God has said, that I'll be restored, that my children will return to me, that I'll smile again with a full smile and a joyful heart, that it won't always be like this, And I trust God. I trust God for that overcoming, that I'll overcome it all. I don't quite know how it's all supposed to work yet, So that's all I got to say for today. Y'all have a good day.